excited to have a great crowd here. Just like I did the other night, I'm going to go over a couple quick ground rules for everybody. If you could, just take a second to turn cell phones off. Make sure they're really away. All right. One of the things we talk about is this is a great audience generally because you're choosing to be here, but resist that urge with yourself. Put the phone someplace where you're not going to get the temptation to use it. It is distracting to speakers, and it's just kind of rude. All right. So find a good place for it. Put it away for the next hour or so. Second thing, if you don't mind, please try to refrain from talking, especially during the speeches themselves, okay? It's part of being a good audience. Finally, if you do have to get up for whatever reason and leave, please wait till in between speeches. There'll be plenty of time as we work on switching our camera stuff over, so you'll have time to get in and out, but not during the speech, all right? And maybe help the folks if someone does come in at the end to try to do the same thing. We're really, really excited to have you here. Sorry if this is repetitive from the other night if you were here, but this is always an awesome night for us. The senior oratory class builds this. This is the capstone project in this elective class. And the idea is that really they get to speak on anything they want. We're really excited to hear from them. They've worked hard. They've worked together to craft these speeches, and I think you'll like what they have to say. So without any further ado, we'll introduce our first speaker of the night, Eric Farmer.
Stand here before you today terrified. The uncertainty haunts me and rushes a million thoughts through my head before I can even yawn when I get out of bed in the morning. What if this happens? But what if that happens? Although you're all probably thinking something more grave of this situation than what it really is, some deep secret I haven't told anyone here about myself or a family member, I'm actually exaggerating. This isn't a speech asking for help, nor is it to make it seem like my life is harder than yours. It's simply a speech written in frustration of my own actions, and how before its inception, my speech would have been about those things. But because of the story I'm about to tell you, I've come to certain realizations that change that and the way I do things. So to be honest, if you pay attention to the speech or not is beyond my ultimate control. However, in this particular setting, with the particular lives we all live here, I believe most of you can relate to certain parts of the story I'm about to tell, so bear with me. I stand here before you today as a man without a plan. No idea what the future holds for me. No idea about college or even what I'll be doing this summer. Until this point in my life, a sport that I have cherished has led me to places I could have never imagined possible. The ultimate destination as of now being Brooks. It has dragged me around provinces, states, and very obscure towns I had never wished to be in. Show of hands in here, anyone ever hear of a town called Chibougamau? Exactly. It has woken me up at aggressive times in the morning in order to have the 30 minutes necessary to get dressed for the start of a 6 a.m. practice at an arena 45 minutes away. You do the math. It has taken me to hotels where intense mini hockey battles have made or broke friendships. It has introduced me to some of the greatest, most genuine and perfect people I have ever met, as well as the occasional psycho parent who believes their kid is destined for the NHL. It has given me successful as well as unsuccessful years. It has beaten me down to my lowest points as well as raised me up to my highest, both physically and mentally. The overall effect the game of hockey has had on my life has been profound and has ultimately led me here standing before you today. I stand here before you today confused, unsure of what it is that I want because it has also led me to this point here. No offers, no interest except one opportunity back home. Ever since I've been living in the States, here at Brooks, as well as this past summer with a host family nearby, I haven't really had the urge or desire to go back home for an extended period of time other than breaks to see family or friends. My dream ever since I started attending Brooks was to further my education here in the US rather than at home. I just always had this image in my head of going to an American college like you see in the movies, and the places back home didn't really fit that image. An American college is my image. It's my dream. My first goal in coming to Brooks was to let hockey play a part in my image and hopefully let it take me where I wanted to go, which is actually why I originally came in as a sophomore. I know what you're all thinking, hey, that's Farmer the junior. I had hoped that coming in as a sophomore, I'd have more time to develop my skills that would in turn make for college offers, thus fulfilling my dream. When I got moved up to be a junior and wasn't seeing the playing time I had predicted, I was discouraged. Not to say that I gave up. I kept pushing and working, but the first year didn't pan out the way I had hoped it would on that front. Not letting it get me down, I decided to give it the extra push and live down here the entire summer and attend a camp with some of the guys on the team. It was a successful camp, which prompted slight interest from one school, but that was it. I was thrilled that someone had taken notice, and it relifted my spirits going into the new hockey season. After the best summer to date, I was back at school and ready for the new season. As it rolled on, I'm not sure what, something, I'm not sure what, just never clicked for me, allowing for me to get where I was in the summer. After another rough season for me individually, I had no looks and no opportunities in my final high school season. My image was slowly dwindling, as hockey would be the only way for me to attend an American college with some scholarship help, as the cost on its own is way too heavy for my family. Although I had been accepted at most of the schools I had applied to, the acceptances meant nothing really, as I could never attend these places at their cost, especially being an international student who can't receive financial aid. This left me in a pretty devastating position, as the possibility of my image was pretty much gone. Although I had later received an offer to play for a junior team in Ontario, I wasn't exactly thrilled, as the opportunity would bring me back home with no guarantees of anything after the year I took off. I was confused. Why couldn't I, like mostly everyone else around me, just go to college and have that experience as every kid should? As I sat around feeling bad for myself, I wasted so much time not tending to my dilemma, inquiring about even the slightest possibilities that could keep my image alive, even in ways that didn't involve what I had originally hoped. Coming to the realization that this might be the end of my hockey career, at the same time as seeing my image fade away, was a tough pill to swallow. And it wasn't until I started writing this speech that I decided I had to get off my butt and start to do something about it and finally stop whining. Instead of wondering in my head about all the different ways I couldn't get what I wanted, I started asking questions to the people with knowledge on how I could get what I wanted, no matter how slim the chances. We do this as humans. When we want something, I know the chances of attaining it are slim. We shy away from the possibilities that could lead us to what we want, such as not getting enough playing time and wanting to talk to a coach but being nervous of the result, or even not applying to the college out of your reach because you know there's no way you'll get in. As I spent weeks in self-pity, I didn't realize the time I had wasted in this mindset trying to let other people figure it out while I sat back. It made me think back to when I was 13 and playing lacrosse over the summer and wound up tearing my ACL, taking me away from the upcoming promising hockey season. I was devastated and felt terrified about what was to come, as it's one of the hardest injuries to return from, especially at such a young age. I took the same mindset I did with my image now. I sat around and felt bad for myself until I realized the only way I'm going to get where I want to be is if I take it upon myself to figure it out and not let others make the decisions or do the work for me. In relation to my injury, that was the point when I kicked up my recovery regimen and was back a month before the predicted return. Who knows? Maybe I would have been back sooner if I had figured it out a little earlier. But the point of that story is not to wallow in what you could have done. The point is to realize that you made a mistake. I'm ashamed that I have made the same mistake once again in my life. This time, 5 years older and supposedly a much more mature young man, when the reality of the situation is I was more mature at 13 than what I've been acting towards my problems lately. So, I stand here before you today, not with a heart-tearing story about some devastating event in my life, but with something actually much less than that. Something, however, still with a great impact on my life that has left me in a very tough situation. I'm scared of the future and its uncertainty and where it will leave me and those around me. As Steve Jobs said at the Stanford commencement speech in 2005, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. You have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust that something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever, because believing the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference. Certain realities are hard to face. They put us in a spot where the routine we're used to may be subject to change, however that may be. Even if we love the routine we currently have, things change and we must adapt or be left in the past. So we put off change as long as we can to drag out what we have, which pushes the future's pressure on us to a greater degree when it comes time to decide what it is that we want next, because change is inevitable. And we should feel lucky that we have the opportunity to hold that change in our hand most of the time in this particular life we all live here. Instead of sitting around like I did, which only put more pressure on me later on, get up and start to sort things out. Realize that change is upcoming and that things can be a lot worse. You're only lying to yourself if you don't accept change. What's the worst that can happen if you at least try to get what you want, even when you know the chances are slim? A great man once said, "You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need." Big things are said in small words. A change can bring about major differences in what you originally had in your image. It's the small things that connect it all together and make sense. Thank you.